Welcome to Tech in the Car. This is the Kia EV6 GT, and this is the super fast Kia in the EV6 range. Now, I've done a full review of the EV6, so check out my video of the UK launch of that a while ago. But this is going to be all about this, the fast model, 585 PS or 577 horsepower, 740 Newton meters of torque, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, which I'll be testing out later on. Will it actually be that quick? And a price to match starting at around £63,000 UK. And don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. And if you do have any questions, let me know down below, because I check all the comments and I always try to reply. Let's start with the wheels. These are 21-inch Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tyres. So it's got the most sporty tyres you can get. 21 inches is a massive wheel size, and it actually looks just about right on this car. But even with that 21 inch, there's still all this space here. So the suspension on this car is really quite good. We've got these acid green, lime green, massive brakes. These are ventilated performance brakes, only available on the EV6 GT. And of course, we've got these special design wheels, which are exclusive to this range. At the front of the GT, there are some changes. So we've got vertical lines down the front here. On the standard EV6s, they're horizontal, and again down here we've got these cool vertical lines. Also at the side of the bumper, you also have vertical lines down the side. It's actually quite hard to tell the difference between EV6 GT and a normal trim EV6, especially when it's in black. You can get this in a matte grey, red, blue, white, and of course black. Here underneath the bonnet there is some interesting things happening. So we do have a Frunk. It's not a very large Frunk. We're talking 20 litres of space compared to 50 on the standard versions of the EV6. This is also where you can access the battery at the front, but at least there is some space here. And the reason for this reduction is very simple. It's the dual motors. We've got a 218 PS motor at the front and a 367 PS motor at the rear, which means there's less space for you to put a Frunk. They could have left it out. They still put it in. That's a good positive from Kia. From the side, the EV6 GT looks just like any other EV6, apart from those massive wheels. I actually really like the roof line of these cars. They remind me a bit of Koenigsegg, the way the kind of roof kind of goes back in that direction. Really cool. And the other thing which I like on here is we have this cool spoiler, which looks great from behind, but it also has another function. It's dual purpose. Underneath here, there are puddle lights which will light up around the rear door. That's pretty unique. Most cars don't have puddle lights at the front and the back, and that is very clever and a really helpful feature. This would not be a top trim car from Kia unless it had the remote parking feature, which I absolutely love. These are so cool to use and try out. Bye car, see you later. Where are you going without me? Very handy and very fun to have. Good boy, come on car, good boy, good boy. And it stops because it's got safety features, which means it won't hit anybody if you're standing in front of the car. Let's talk rear of the Kia EV6 GT. So there are some changes at the back here, and then mainly down here we've got a interesting diffuser down here with a light back here. So this is really cool, a bit like a Formula 1 car. There are lights at the bottom of the bumper which light up. And then we've got, other than that, really, other than the GT logo, which is behind my shoulder here, is very similar. But this new rear bumper lower area is very unique. And we have double vertical brake reflectors at the side too, which is very cool. I think it kind of goes with this vertical theme on the front and back. Obviously, Kia love vertical lines in performance cars, which is ironic because a performance car should not be going up, it should be going sideways. Just because you have a performance car doesn't mean you don't have any space in the rear, and with this you do. 480 litres, slightly less than the normal EV6, but to be expected considering it has a 367 PS motor at the rear here, so there's slightly less space, but still more than enough space with hooks and tether points, and the ability also to put your seats down without having to pull them down yourself, which is a pretty handy feature in the back of any convenient car, let alone a 570, 580 horsepower EV. Thing in the back of the EV6 GT, first of all, I'm very impressed by the space. I'm about 1.78 m, and you can see I have a ton of headspace. I mean, that is the driving position, These bucket seats, which I'm going to talk about in a second when I'm sitting in them, look great from behind, but they're also very narrow, very thin, so they don't take up a lot of space. So we get plenty of space here. We've got Alcantara and leather with this yellow stitching. These are heated seats as well, so you can heat them, and they've got a lever on the back so you can adjust the position as well. And also the other thing, which you shouldn't forget in these cars, is because they have vehicle to load, which means that you can plug in your house or your laptop, and it can actually output up to 3.6 kilowatts, which can run a 55-inch TV and an air conditioning unit, according to Kia's example, for over 24 hours. And there is a plug right here in the middle, which lets you do that, or using the vehicle to load adapter, you can plug it in to the charging port. So very, very spacious back here, comfortable, nice. I'm impressed. Inside the EV6 GT, we have what you would expect from a premium end, high quality, fantastic car. But there are some differences. First of all, these bucket seats, these sport seats, they look the part. They're beautiful, yellow stitching. They've got a metallic finish, although I don't actually think it is metal to them, but they're not comfortable to me. So if you're interested in this car, I would certainly suggest you try the car out so you can see if these seats suit your needs, because it's only available with these sports seats. The steering wheel, we've got, of course, the yellow, the acid green stitching everywhere, including on the steering wheel. And then we've got the GT button. The GT button gives us all 585 PS of power, and it makes this car go very, very fast. This car also has a drift mode where if you press the ESC off button and then hold both the paddles, if you do that, it sends power to the rear, where we have a limited slip differential, which has been put in by Kia specifically to let you have a sporty car that can go through the corners and can drift. In terms of convenience of this car, we've got these large displays which are over 12 inches for the infotainment and for the driver. We have a drive mode button on the steering wheel as well, and there are 5 modes: Eco, Normal, Sport and GT, which turns everything yellow to match the stitching and the brakes. Other things which are interesting in this car, we have this fantastic dual purpose system here, which you can tap the little button and it becomes a shortcut to the maps, to the navigation, to the media with a little screen here, or our climate control. I love that. It allows buttons for using the infotainment and the maps, but also for the climate control, but in a space for one of those functions, which is very, very clever design from Kia. We've got a lot of space in the middle here. We've got 2 USB type C's, we've got 1 USB type A and a 12-volt charger. And then we've got here our wireless charging pad, which is great, a circular dial for changing gear, and we've got heated seats and also a heated steering wheel. The only thing this car is missing is a panoramic sunroof or panoramic glass roof, which is a shame, but manufacturers typically remove those glass roofs from their sports performance models to save weight, even though this car is over 2 tons. So I'm not sure it would have made much difference, but it's gone, it's not available on here. The other thing with these seats are, as nice as they are to look at, they are actually fully manual, which means it's a bit more tricky to get into a comfortable position if you are comfortable in these seats. So that is a minor negative thing here. But overall, a really, really great driving position, very sporty, feels really comfortable, good support in the seats, also got a head-up display here. Now let's test this car 0 to 60 and see if it can do it in 3.5 seconds. And we're going to use my VBox Performance Pro Touch performance meter. Big thank you to VBox for sending that over to me. And let's see what it can do and also how it goes around the corners. The question I have to ask myself is this car worth the £63,000 with the colour starting price here in the UK? Is it too expensive? Does it drive differently from the other trims of the EV6, which I already have a video on? Or is it really, really special? Well, later on, I'm gonna test this car from 0 to 60, so check out how fast that was. And it was faster than Kia says, so make sure you watch that bit later. But how about normal driving? How does it perform? What does it feel like? So there are 5 driving modes. In eco mode, it's weird. In an electric car, in eco mode, you feel like there's a barrier on the accelerator. And then when you put it into normal mode, you feel like that barrier's come off. It's kind of like running with the crutch, and now the crutch has come off. And then when you put it into sport mode, we're now wearing the most high-tech running boots you can get, and maybe when you put it into GT mode, that's when you've been taking performance enhancing supplements. That's basically what it's like in this car. And just there is a big difference between all the modes. Traditionally you might not expect that, but there is a big difference. You can really feel it. Now the mode that we're most interested in is obviously GT mode. How does a car drive? How does it handle in GT mode? I've put it into GT mode now. Everything's gone yellow, which I love, which matches the yellow acid green color of the logo on the button here and on the stitching and on the brakes. And immediately this car is very, very flat. Now I'm not driving it on a racetrack or anything, I'm driving down a normal street, but it feels very flat. And Kia have done something here to make it feel much better handling and much more stable. It definitely feels that way. Also interestingly, in GT mode, the traction control is turned off, because I'm guessing there's so much power from the dual motor system in GT mode that actually the car handles better and accelerates better with it off. And in fact, I did try a launch with it on, so in GT mode, but turned the traction control back on, and it actually gave me some wheel spin, which is pretty difficult on an electric car to get. So that says something about the power of this car. And trust me, it is a powerful car. Just putting my foot down a tiny bit here as we go up to national speed limit. There is so much torque in this car. It's amazing how you can be going along 70 miles an hour down a road, and then you put your foot down and you go past other cars that are already going at 70 miles an hour, and you just go past them without even noticing. I mean, it's effortless. The power in this car is effortless, and really only with these really high powered EVs you actually feel that acceleration past that 60 point, past that 70 point, where you can actually feel wow. And that's almost, if I'm being honest with you, a bit of a danger, because there will be cars going along at 70 miles an hour, you're nowhere to be found, you accelerate up to the speed limit and you're on top of them, and then you can go past them like that. Now I'm not suggesting anybody breaks the speed limit, and if you live in Germany then this is a better example, but I'm just saying that the way that it does that is fantastic. The speed it carries is amazing, all the while feeling very stable and very secure in itself. As a traditional driver, as a normal car being driven, this EV6 feels like any other EV6. Nice, soft-ish suspension. You don't feel the bumps in the road. It feels comfortable. You feel like it goes where you want it to go. But when you put it into GT mode, it's like you just changed your Kia for a Rimac. Okay, not that fast, but that's how it feels. It feels like it's a different car, and that is something. Let's see how fast this car can go from 0 to 60. 585 horsepower. Go! I can tell you that's a very fast car. 3.39 seconds. So I've just done 3.39 seconds to 60 miles an hour. That is faster than Kia says this car can do. 3.39 seconds. Wow, that's one fast car. The EV6 GT takes the EV6, which was one of the best EVs that you can get, and makes it even better. It turns everything up to 11 with more power, more performance, but it costs it in some areas. We've got less range, 428 kilometers, which is about 263 miles of range on this car. And the faster you go, the more the range drops. Also, we've got a higher price. Now, the pricing for this car I actually think is really competitive and good value. An RS3, an AMG A45, a whole load of competitors, M2 from BMW, all come in at around the same price, but they have less power and less convenience. You're paying there more for the brand. I think with this you're paying here for the technology and for the performance. So arguably that makes this car better value. In terms of the battery, we've got the same 77.4 kilowatt battery that you get in all the EV6s, which can charge from 10% to 80% in 18 minutes with this 800 volt architecture. So it can charge really, really fast. So overall, this car is a fantastic value performance car. Just check out the seats, because I didn't find them comfortable. But if you do, and you're looking at a performance car, then this is a really good shout. Really, really, really good shout. And honestly, you'll be hugely surprised when you drive it by how great it is. Thank you for watching this video. Please give me a like. please give me a thumbs up. Would you buy an EV6 GT? Don't forget to watch my other videos on the channel, including the original EV6 review I did and other EVs. Thank you for watching.